I wasn't feeling the best about my numbers, but then I went back and actually checked what my previous numbers were, and I didn't do too bad. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be doing a check-in we're pretty much done with the year as I'm recording this. This should come out after the year has ended, but a check-in into how I did with the Read Your Shelf Challenge. Now, I did a video at the beginning of the year talking about how I was going to be doing this, really trying to focus on buying less books and then focusing on reading what I actually have, and also just, making decisions to get rid of books that I don't feel I need in my collection anymore. And so that really was the focus. And I feel like I started pretty strong at that. I did fall off a little bit because after having a baby right at the end of May, the second half of the year slowed down my physical reading a lot. And so I was using a lot more audio to still be doing books, and some of them I would multi-format if I also had physically, but other things I just ended up doing a little bit more time there. I will note as well that participating in readathons this year was a big part of why I got to as many books as I actually did as well, so that was definitely a part of it as well. But I honestly, looking back, I feel my stats weren't too bad. So we'll start with looking at the old number, seeing kind of where I've gone. Now, this is keeping in mind that I have not kept track of everything. I kept track of, out of my books that were unread that I owned physically, I tried to keep track of which ones did I read, which ones did I DNF, and which ones did I unhaul. Some of the ones that I unhauled I also read and then decided to unhaul, so I had them marked that way. But I didn't keep track of books that I had already read that I then unhauled, which there were quite a few of those, especially right toward the end of the year. I made kind of another push to get rid of some stuff that I didn't think I was going to reread and clear out. So that's there a little bit. And I do have another kind of like smallish book haul that I've not actually done yet. So I didn't count those books because they haven't actually been like brought into the collection, so to speak, yet. So after the holidays, we'll see, because I've gotten some more recently. So this is still though pretty accurate, all things considered. So according to Goodreads, and keeping in mind that I'll finish at least one more book before the end of the year, I at 119 books read, so 120 we'll say. And I don't know that I'll finish anything else besides that, which is pretty darn good considering I had some big slowdowns. I really did try to focus on still getting through some books, and like I said, utilizing audio, but then also for when I was doing readathon, I did a lot of really short books as well, and so kind of tried to do that. And in general, I've just been, reading is really something that I do for enjoyment, and even though sometimes, I'm doing things for the channel specifically, I tried to just, as I was slowing down, also just sit back and enjoy. And so I've done some really like slow reads that have taken me a lot longer than they normally would, but that I really enjoyed doing it. So I think that's been pretty good. And honestly, those numbers are a lot better than I would have thought, even with there being a fair amount of short books in there coming in from readathon, but still pretty good. So as of when I did the numbers right at the beginning of the year, I had about 550 physical books that I had, and I was at about a 40% read ratio is where that I'm at. I now, as of my new ratio after doing the count, I'm about 497. So down over 50 books overall, which says good things about the number of things that I've unhauled versus hauled. And my read to unread ratio is just right about 50%. Now, I am slightly under, and part of that is because of the fact that I just unhauled the fair amount of books that I had already read. So if I would have waited to do my unhaul until after I did this video, I would actually be over 50%. So the ratio is not quite as high as I'd like, since the number of books is lower. Obviously, I've still got new books, but progress. I have less books overall, and my ratio of read to unread is better than it was, so that's pretty good. So looking at the numbers, out of that 550, so I had 327 unread books when I did my numbers initially. Out of that list, 30 of them I have now marked as read, 19 is DNF'd, and then 52 is unhauled. Now, keeping in mind that some of that was, some of those read ones were unhauled too. So that's nearly 100 books that out of my unread pile that I did address. Now, I didn't count how many I specifically brought in, and that 30 read is a little lower than I would have liked, considering I really wanted to really focus on stuff that I own physically. But like I said, I ended up having some slowdowns with my physical reading because of having a baby, so that played a part in there as well. So that's I honestly got down to, so yeah, I think 226 out of that original number. And my new ratio of unread is now I have 251 unread books out of the 497 total. So really, that's when you look at the number that I addressed, got it down to, that's really not adding that many more. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the numbers. So that's this has been, I would say, a success. Not quite as successful as I would have liked, but also I'm pretty pleased because I did do a lot better, I feel like, with not getting a ton of books. And there are definitely times I got some more around the holidays. I'll have some more coming in as well that I'm not actually purchasing, that other gifts, things like that. But still, it's gone pretty well. So what about for next year? Well, I did do a video talking about some priority authors that I want to focus on for 2024. I'm or 2024, 2025. It's a little late for 2024 at this point, but I made a joke there too. Whenever I try to do like, this is what I'm gonna read, I do a really bad job with it. And so I'm not doing one of those like 25 books for 2025, because if I try to do that, that's too many books. I won't get to them. And then I'll just feel bad that I didn't get to them. So I'm not going to do that. But a lot of priority authors, and specifically those authors that I picked, are authors that I own a large amount of physical books by. So authors like Tad Williams, like R. Scott Baker, like Anthony Ryan, others like that. So there are a lot of authors on there that I own a ton of their books, and that I still want to read because A, I really enjoy the author, and B, because I own a lot of their books and so need to read. So I am planning to generally keep this going. Having a kid now and buying less books is definitely a good thing, because babies have a lot of expenses. So I've been trying to be mindful anyway for this challenge, but that's also been another good reason to buy books less frequently as well. Plus, the fancy new Wheel of Time Dragon Steel books will be coming out, and I know I'll be buying those, so that'll be like a set expense every time those come out as well. So probably a good idea to keep it a little bit more reasonable with it as well. So I do plan to generally keep this going. Of course, I'm still going to be reading other things, and I wasn't always focusing specifically on things I had to. For example, I do review copies. I did some books that people picked out for me. I do other things like that as well. So not all of those are physical, and not all of them are also like normal. Like, this is part of my already unread collection, because I don't typically count those, because that's a kind of a different category as well. So things like that. I'm reading other things for sure, and doing other stuff there as well. But I think I'm in a pretty good place, and there's so much stuff that I'm really excited to read, that I really want to read in the next year, that I also own physically. So I think hopefully we'll be looking at some much better numbers next year when we check in on this. But that's really it. That's kind of the update on where I landed for 2024. So let me know, because I know when I talked before, some of you had way worse ratios, or like way more unread books than I did. Made me feel better about it, because it's not a good number by any means, but I know there's so many books too. And I joked when I last did this, I'm like, I could not buy books for years and just read what I have and be totally set and fine. Of course, I'm not going to do that, but I really would like to get through a lot more, just because there's so many things I have that I'm really excited, like I said, to and want to try. So let me know, your thoughts on this kind of thing, and if you're going to continue doing this type of thing. I know a lot of people were trying to do this for 2024. I'm going to keep it rolling. I think it's been a good idea and helpful. So we'll see how I do in the next year. That's really it for this one, though. So make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the links in the description, as always, for the Patreon if you want to support what I do, as well as the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of the books that I talked about here, which weren't any actually now that I think about it, or really any books, anything at all. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.